Well, here we are behind the garage door. This is my garage. This is where I store my car. This is also where my workshop is. Keep all my tools and do all my fix-it projects. Store a lot of household junk out here. It's a little messy, but that's the way it is. And it's also a movie theater. This is where I show my movies. Not digital, we're talking film, 16 millimeter. Let me show you what I got. Nothing starts the program better than a good cartoon. I have a few others.
Was just a tug, just a happy harbor tug, and it came from a line of tugboats fine and brave. But it seems that little toot simply did.
Hello, my baby, hello, my honey, hello, my ragtime gal. Send me a kiss by wire, baby, my heart's on fire. If you refuse me, honey, you lose me, then you'll be left alone. Oh, baby, telephone and tell me I'm your own.
I've been working on this theater since the 1980s. That's about the time I bought this house. It's undergone a few upgrades and downgrades over the years. It's nothing fancy, and you'll see some quick and dirty work here and there, but that's how I roll. It works for me. I designed it not for a living room, but to fit within a garage and workshop environment. And by the way, I've never worked in a theater or as a projectionist in my life. This is a hobby for me. And to all you folks out there who were lucky enough to work in the carbon arc changeover days, I have the utmost respect and envy for you. It was my lifelong dream job that I never fulfilled. That's why I do this. I've been hooked on film collecting since I was about 5 years old. My older brother used to play with this old 16mm XL toy movie projector. I was fascinated with it and it became the love of my life. I taught myself how to thread and operate it and spent years showing the same films over and over. Each birthday and Christmas brought a new film to my collection. Every summer I'd set up a theater in the basement of our house and show movies to the neighborhood kids. Sadly, that old projector got tossed in the trash when my brother and I grew up, and my parents became empty nesters and sold the house and trashed a lot of my childhood memories, including the old XL. But thanks to eBay, I've got my childhood love back with me again, proudly on display on the shelf of my den. So here's a little more detailed description of my setup here. This screen is lace and grommet. I bought the screen material from the Daylight Screen Company. The masking is black velvet material I picked up from Hobby Lobby, I believe. I built a frame out of 2x4s and attached hinges to the garage wall. And a wheel mounted on the end so it rolls out easily. I also like some colored effect lighting, blues and reds and whatever. This is a one-car garage, and my only regret is not buying a two-car garage. Then I could have had CinemaScope. Since I like a lot of sound, I went crazy with speakers. My dad built these back in the 1980s. He was a pretty good carpenter. He lived about 5 hours away, but I made a visit a few times a year, and I'd always bring down some lumber, speaker grill cloth, and any kind of speakers I could find, either from Radio Shack or out of an old stereo console, whatever I could find cheap. And he'd build me a pair of speakers. Over a few years, I accumulated 3 pairs of speakers. There's 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and 2 mounted in the middle of the ceiling. I added a Radio Shack passive subwoofer. There it is under all that lumber. And a little tweeter hidden up there behind the garage door opener track. And altogether, I think it sounds pretty good. Acoustically, this garage used to reverberate pretty badly and it was hard to understand dialogue. So I put up these sound absorbing tiles on sections of the walls and over the projection booth. It also makes a good background for posters, and that helped the sound a lot. So let's go inside the booth and look around. Be forewarned, it's a tight space. I have 2, count them, 2 Kodak Pageant 250S machines. Manual thread, of course. I wanted to be able to thread the projectors just like real projectionists. Here's an old model of Kodak film cleaner, which I now keep filled with film renew. I use it to clean and lubricate the film gates and film path. This is my homemade changeover dowser. Back when I had Kodak 126 machines, I used to wire the projector lamps to a switch for the light changeover. It worked good, but it always looked like a dissolve between the projectors during the changeover. So I built this sliding dowser, which I think works better if I move it fast enough. This switches the sound between the projectors. I picked up a sound amplifier from a pawn shop, real cheap. The sound comes out of the projectors to a line level converter and goes to a stereo synthesizer, which I got from Radio Shack years ago. I bought a second one recently from eBay for backup just in case. It really made a difference in the sound, especially in the clarity of dialogue. That's an old reverb generator which I bought along with a lot of stereo gear at an overseas military base exchange when I was in the military back in '69. That's an FM tuner underneath which plays music before the movie. Again, another pawn shop cheapie. I use the lid speakers from the projectors as booth monitors. My film collection has a bit of everything. Cartoons, TV shows, old comedy shorts, lots of Laurel and Hardy, a few W.C. Fields, some features, not as many as I used to have. Yeah, several reels of Lawrence Welk shows and Liberace TV shows from the 50s, and several reels of movie trailers spliced together and mixed with refreshment stand ads and theater advertisements. A bench with rewinds, and the film viewer finishes it off. So let's go back to the booth, start her up, and take a look at some of it.
And now, before the next show starts, Let's enjoy intermission. You'll find our snack bar chock full of good things to eat and drink. Tasty, tempting hot dogs, thirst-quenching soft drinks, fresh, crunchy popcorn. A complete assortment of delicious candy and a full line of cigarettes. You've plenty of time, so visit the snack bar now. A tasty treat will double your enjoyment of the show. For your convenience, we shall keep you informed of the remaining intermission time. 3 minutes before the next show starts.
Two-gun quail? Boys, sweep him out of the gutter. It's just like a movie.
Keep shy, little Bill. She's Red Baxter's girl.
Red Baxter? Who's Red Baxter? We'll settle this right now. Where's Red Baxter? Here. Where? Here. Where? Here.
His films have never failed to amaze us, entertain us, thrill us. Universal Pictures proudly presents Steven Spielberg's newest film. A timeless story from the most original director of our time. He is afraid. He is totally alone. He is 3 million light years from home.
Time for refreshment. Refreshment. For your enjoyment, there's hot, fresh popcorn, tempting, delicious hot dogs, and so many kinds of ice cream. And of course, sparkling, delicious, ice-cold Coca-Cola for everybody at the refreshment counter now. Remember, your favorite snack will taste especially good with world-famous ice-cold Coca-Cola.
Gillisfred dived in again and swam toward the wreck once more.
You'll never make it.
The waves are too high. But he made it back to land. I had to return to the ship. He explained.
For my toddy, the chocolate drink that's just grand. Toddy does taste grand. At the snack bar or at your car. During intermission, enjoy a toddy. The delicious chocolate drink in a can. Ice cold or steaming hot, toddy hits the spot with everybody. See how much better that popcorn or those hot dogs taste with toddy.
Delicious. Steaming hot coffee. The perfect thing to pick you up and relax you at the same time. Ours is blended specially so you know it's smooth, rich, full up with the deep, mellow flavor and aroma that sets a man on his feet again. Wouldn't a big, delicious cup of coffee taste good right now? By itself or with a tasty snack. Buy it piping hot and hearty, perked fresh and waiting for you at the refreshment center.
Now, intermission.
You still have time for a tempting snack.
During those early days in the 50s and 60s, I immersed myself in anything film. I went through the classified ads of my dad's popular science magazines every month and found lists of films, projectors, and all kinds of assorted goodies. This one is from 1957. And then, once a month, the big reel would arrive. That's when I would spend hours searching through the pages and pages for films to buy. And I didn't forget Black Hawk Films, Davenport, Iowa. Wow, I got a lot of things from that place. Well, so much for this. That 3-minute time clock must be about over. I've got a changeover to make.
Yes, the atomic bomb is terrible. But more terrible still are the effects of atomic mutation. Hello, I'm Lawrence Woolsey. And I want to warn you about something that could happen. Something that does happen in my newest motion picture.
A good film and one of my favorites. But if you want something a bit more scary, I've got that too.
You're gonna miss it.
Once she was brushed by the wings of evil. It is 4 years later. What does she remember? Where will it lead her? Exorcist 2, The Heretic. Linda Blair, Richard Burton, Louise Fletcher, Max von Sydow, James Earl Jones. Exorcist 2, The Heretic. Rated R.
It all began with a curse from the grave.
The evil you did this day will be avenged.
A curse of the dead hand. The dead hand that crawls, creeps, and kills. The dead hand that lives. And now the screaming starts. For them and for you. Rated R.
Scream and scream again. Triple distilled horror. Starring Vincent Price. Scream and scream again.
And all in blood-curdling Eastman red. The drive-in theaters of the 50s and 60s were magical places for me. I was able to get my hands on some theater ads reminiscent of that time. time to turn this theater back into a garage again. Now that you know what's behind the garage door, I hope you enjoyed it. Stop by anytime. There's a movie every Saturday night.